Caroline Levitt, decides to follow an employee and discovers a heartbreaking story. Caroline Levitt was a name known throughout Washington, a sharp, dedicated White House press secretary who handled intense scrutiny and high-pressure situations with poise. She was the voice behind the administration, delivering polished statements that shaped headlines. But success in politics wasn't just about public speeches and media control. It was built on the unseen efforts of countless individuals working behind the scenes. The White House was a machine that ran because of them. The janitors who scrubbed the floors before dawn, the maintenance workers who kept the historic walls intact, the kitchen staff who prepared gourmet meals but rarely got to sit down for one. Caroline had made it a point to acknowledge these individuals, to greet them by name, to ask about their lives beyond the walls of power. But on one particularly cold morning, she noticed something unusual. The custodian named Amelia Brooks had always been a quiet but steady presence in the corridors. She carried herself with humility, her work meticulous, her demeanor warm. Yet Caroline sensed a shift, something in Amelia's eyes, a heaviness that hadn't been there before. She moved just as efficiently as always, yet there was a tension to her steps, as if she were carrying a weight invisible to everyone else. Caroline couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. She didn't act on it at first. There was no obvious crisis, no glaring issue that needed fixing, but small things added up. Amelia had always exchanged brief pleasantries with colleagues. Now, she avoided eye contact. Her movements seemed rushed, as if she needed to be somewhere else. And then there was the cafeteria incident. Caroline had just finished a late meeting when she stopped by the cafeteria for a coffee. She happened to see Amelia there, standing by the buffet. Unlike the others who took their time choosing their meals, Amelia moved with quiet urgency. She scooped a modest portion onto a tray, then, with careful precision, wrapped the meal in aluminum foil, tucking it into her worn tote bag. Then she left without taking a single bite. Caroline frowned. Maybe Amelia preferred to eat elsewhere, but then she saw it happen again. Every day that week, Amelia took food, but never ate it, never sat down, never even took a sip of water before vanishing. Caroline's unease deepened. She wasn't one to pry into personal matters, but something in her gut told her that Amelia's routine wasn't just a personal preference. It was survival. That evening, Caroline returned to her Georgetown apartment, but her mind was restless. She paced the living room, replaying the details over and over. Why was Amelia so careful with her food? Was she skipping meals altogether? The more she thought about it, the more convinced she became. This wasn't about curiosity. It was about helping someone who clearly needed it. On Friday evening, long after most of the White House staff had gone home, Caroline lingered. She positioned herself near the corridor, where she had seen Amelia exit each day. At precisely 5 p.m., Amelia slipped out the side door, her head lowered, her tote bag clutched tightly to her chest. Caroline hesitated. Following an employee felt intrusive, but a deeper concern urged her forward. Keeping a safe distance, she trailed behind as Amelia navigated the city streets. Caroline expected her to head toward a busier area, maybe a second job, maybe a shelter. Instead, Amelia boarded a city bus that veered away from the heart of Washington, heading toward one of the city's poorest neighborhoods. The ride was long, winding through streets lined with worn-down apartment buildings. The city's bright lights faded, replaced by flickering street lamps and cracked sidewalks. Amelia remained near the front of the bus, staring out the window, her grip on the tote bag never loosening. Caroline felt her stomach twist. Wherever Amelia was going, it wasn't just a place of rest. When they arrived at a deteriorating apartment complex, Amelia stepped off the bus and walked toward the entrance. Caroline followed at a cautious distance, stopping just before the second-floor landing. She watched as Amelia fumbled with her keys, finally unlocking a creaky door. And then, Caroline saw them. 2 children, thin, their clothes slightly too small, rushed forward, their faces lighting up. "Mom, you're back," Amelia smiled. But there was exhaustion in her eyes. She gently placed the tote bag on the small table in the center of the dimly lit room. With careful hands, she unwrapped the aluminum foil and divided the food onto 2 chipped plastic plates. She didn't take a bite for herself. Caroline's throat tightened as realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Amelia wasn't eating because she was saving every meal for her children. Caroline barely registered her quiet exit from the apartment building. The bus ride back to her upscale neighborhood felt surreal. The White House, the very institution Amelia worked so hard to keep pristine, was a symbol of wealth and power. Yet within its walls, one of its own employees was barely surviving. Caroline didn't sleep that night. Instead, she made a decision. She wasn't just going to help Amelia. She was going to change the system that allowed this to happen in the first place. By Monday morning, Caroline had arranged a private meeting with Amelia. The woman entered her office hesitantly, her posture stiff, as though bracing for bad news. "I didn't follow you to intrude," Caroline said softly. "I did it because I needed to understand." Amelia's face flushed with embarrassment. But before she could protest, Caroline continued. "I know what you're doing," she said gently. "I know why you're doing it, and I want to help." For the first time, Amelia's carefully constructed composure cracked. Tears welled in her eyes as she told her story. Her husband had passed away, leaving behind medical debts that swallowed her earnings. She had no support, no safety net. Every dollar went toward keeping her children fed, and even then, it wasn't always enough. Caroline listened, her heart heavy, but her resolve stronger than ever. That afternoon, she met with the White House Chief of Staff. She proposed an internal assistance program, one that would provide direct support to low-wage employees, meal vouchers, childcare assistance, emergency relief funds. "This isn't charity," Caroline argued. "It's an investment. If we take care of our workers, they will take care of this place. And right now, we are failing them." Her passion was contagious. Within weeks, changes were set in motion. Amelia never asked for recognition, but she felt the difference. A quiet initiative, later known as the Quiet Fund, was introduced, offering financial assistance to employees in crisis. Pay structures were reviewed, and one afternoon, as Caroline walked through the cafeteria, she saw something that made her chest tighten. Amelia, sitting at a table, eating. Across from her, her two children grinned, their plates full. Caroline didn't interrupt. She simply watched, her heart swelling with emotion, because she knew that a single moment of awareness had sparked a chain reaction. And in the halls of power, amidst wealth and politics, one woman's silent struggle had finally been acknowledged. What would you have done in Caroline's place? Let me know in the comments.